Welcome to episode 49 of the Perrysburg podcast. I'm your host, Kim Newlove. Today's episode is an interview with Joshua Johnson. He is the new executive director of Perrysburg's Convention and Visitors Bureau, which many people know as Visit Perrysburg. If you are interested in getting to know Joshua, you are going to like this episode. If you are new to this podcast, welcome. The Perrysburg podcast is an informational podcast for prospective, new, and current Perrysburg, Ohio residents. We talk about what's in Perrysburg and why people like to live here. You can find the show notes for this episode on perrysburgpodcast.com. Let's get started. In just a minute, you'll hear Joshua introduce himself. And then in this episode, we'll also talk about what interested Joshua in taking the job, what he likes about working in Perrysburg, what's next for Visit Perrysburg, and how to get in touch if you'd like to share ideas. Without further ado, here's my conversation with Joshua Johnson. Hi, Joshua. Welcome to the Perrysburg podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
I'm from Archibald, Ohio. I'm married. I have two kids, a 3-year-old named Hayes, a soon-to-be 2-year-old named Jet. I went to the University of Toledo where I played baseball. And then after college baseball, I went back and started working for my dad at his business. We actually made burial vaults. So that is something, was just in it. My dad owned the business for 20 plus years. So I kind of went back there just for a family business. And then from that point on, for the past 8 years, I have been with the Archibald Parks and Recreation Department, where I was in charge of events, programs, youth and adult athletics, sponsorship. And then obviously for the past 2 weeks here, I just finished my 2 weeks today with Visit Perrysburg. So I'm excited with that. My family and I live in Toledo. Obviously, prior to working here, working in Archibald, I was 45 minutes away. My wife is a teacher in the Oregon School District, so she's 30 minutes away. So we found a location that we were able to hop on the turnpike for both of us and make it an easy trip. Prior to that, for 2.5 years, we lived in Levis Commons in the apartments, Preston Gardens. So I'm familiar with Perrysburg, and so obviously having that familiarity, it was something that when this job came open, it was something that really intrigued me because Perrysburg, from my perspective, has that same small town feeling. Like when you come downtown Perrysburg, it has that feeling of Archibald, but then you also get a large surrounding area of everything you need. And that's so intriguing to me. And it's something that I absolutely love about Perrysburg.
Yeah, it's as big or small as you make it.
Yeah, it is. It's like you want to come down and have that small town feel, like on our market days on Thursdays, you can walk around and have that small town, that feel of like your town is 4,000 people, but then you leave downtown and then you got everything you need in one place. So it is great. It's something that me and my wife, if you talk to my wife, we would move to Perrysburg today if we could right now. So it's just trying to get settled in, and then I see ourselves probably moving this way in the future.
Okay, well, we'd love to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, what was the business that you were doing with your dad? I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, so we were in charge of making burial vaults for funeral homes. So they would call us, we would make them out of concrete, we would paint them, and then we would, our employees would go to the cemetery, they would set up the tent chairs, and then they would actually put the casket into the vault and put it in, and put the body and casket and vault into the ground.
Okay, so you were like a concrete worker?
Kind of, yeah. So it was like, yep. So it was a little bit of everything. It was a trade of concrete, but then also service because we're taking care of the family at the cemetery. We're doing all the tent setup. We're doing all that. And then obviously we are doing the burial part of that.
I'm just trying to find the red thread here with what you're doing. So service, basically.
So service. So it's just, and then, having relationships with all different funeral homes and having that. So, my job was mostly operations manager. So just making sure everything was going good. And then my job was also meeting with funeral homes and going over the new products and the services.
Yeah, there's only one funeral home here in town. You probably know that.
Yep. Yep, we did. So we did all of Toledo, majority of the Toledo, and then all the local ones in towards Archbold.
Okay, thanks for sharing your background.
Yeah,
I'm a pharmacist by training. I ended up being, a
yeah,
voice actor and a podcast host.
yep,
We all have a history, and sometimes there's this red thread, but it sounds like you're really good at working with people, and Perrysburg needs that.
yeah. And with my previous job in Archbold for the Parks and Recreation, my job was to put mostly on events and bring people to Archbold. So that's what really got me involved in and that's what really got me to here where I am, right? So like today, Archbold is hosting their Route 66 Bash concert. That's an event I put on. It's a concert that we have hosted now for 6 years. So we've had people in the past. We've had people come from Missouri, Indiana, Illinois, Pennsylvania, New York. They come just because that's the closest place they can see the artists that we're having. And that's the thing I love. I love meeting new people. I love being able to put on events. I love being able to show people where I work. So like Perrysburg, like in my interviewing process, I said, Perrysburg shows itself, right? Like as long as you get somebody to Perrysburg, they're going to see what Perrysburg has to offer. I don't have to do any extra selling. Perrysburg does it itself. So, and that's one thing I really loved about this opportunity was being from here for a couple of years and seeing what this has to offer. It's an easy sell to people. Come to Perrysburg. We have everything you need. We have amazing food. We have Levis Commons. We have the water. We have the Fort Megs. We have the 577 Foundation. We have all these things that it only takes you to drive here and you'll fall in love with it just like I did.
Now, how did you hear about the job for Visit Perrysburg?
I was looking because at Archbold Parks and Recreation, we work random hours. So like tonight, I'm gonna actually go back and help them with the concert because it is my thing and they haven't really done it before. But like tonight, I won't get done until 1 a.m. But then I have a 45-minute drive back. So once I started having kids and family, and obviously with my family, it was something that I wanted to look to getting closer to home. So right now, from my house to my office is a 8-minute drive. That's something that was very important to me, finding something closer, but also finding something that I love doing. And this is exactly what Archbold did, but at a bigger scale. So it's like I went from the minors to the big leagues, and
Good baseball analogy.
so that was really important to me. So when I started looking for jobs, this came available. I saw it on Indeed, and I talked it over to my wife, and I said, "How awesome would this be? Right here in Perrysburg, it gives us a chance for the kids to come to my office, gives the kids a chance to see dad at work more often, and then obviously I get to be home at an earlier time." So it was a no-brainer when that came available. I applied, and then obviously here I am.
All right. Well, welcome to Perrysburg.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Now that you're here, what's next for Visit Perrysburg?
My vision is I ultimately it's always to bring people to Perrysburg. And so my job is to find different resources and different ways to bring people here. You look at bigger cities, and I've had talks with people like this before. Like you look at like Dublin. I'll use Dublin, Ohio. 2 Sundays ago, my wife and I went to the Memorial Tournament. That draws every year, and that draws people from all over. Perrysburg doesn't have that one event. You look at Toledo, they have the walleye, they have the mud hens, they have the golf tournaments, they have all these things. And it's like every year that's going to be there. But Perrysburg doesn't have that one draw. And my job is to find that draw of like bringing something big in that every year people know, hey, on this date, this is going on in Perrysburg. And then obviously just doing smaller things. And ultimately, we get our money from the bed tax. So it's working with the hotelers, trying to find ways that we can get people in their beds. Because obviously, without their money, I'm not here. So without the tax from the hotel stay, I'm not here. So it's obviously making relationships with hotelers and finding any way I can to get people in there and help their business also.
I understand that you're kind of like on a mission to find that one big thing. And yeah, I'm excited for you. And I am a motorcycle enthusiast. I know I don't look like one, but one of the big things that happens with the long distance motorcyclers is this thing called the Iron Butt Rally.
Okay.
And it's, I believe, an 11-day, 11,000-mile race across the United States. They go all around the four corners, and it's a scavenger hunt.
Okay.
And I was thinking it would be really cool if they would stop here in Perrysburg as part of their scavenger hunt. It may not be the one big thing, but I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, that is something I'm always open to anything. I'm that person that you can ask anybody in Archbold. I love to go extreme, and I hope that it sticks. And then sometimes people are like, "Man, you're just crazy." Well, you got to be a little bit crazy to have the things. Like, we brought back in the day when I grew up. I was a little kid. We lived in town in Archbold, and we had go-kart races on a Saturday morning. They shut down the town. They would bring in thousands of bales of straw, and the professional go-kart racers would race downtown Archbold. And it was the most amazing. As a kid, I remember going to set up my chair early in the morning so I had the best seat in the house. And when I first got the job in Archbold for the Parks and Recreation, we actually brought that back. We brought racing downtown Archbold back. Everyone thinks of like these like little things that will do it, but like some people just want extreme, and I'm that kind of person. I will throw out any ideas, and if it sticks and it's an awesome idea, I'm absolutely loving it. If not, I move on to the next. So that's my plan. My plan is to bring big things, but I also know that you still have to bring little things that people around, because ultimately it's the betterment for Perrysburg. So what can we do for the city of Perrysburg and the residents of Perrysburg to make this town better? So if that means doing a big events and then doing something for the city, maybe, updating something, that's my ultimate goal. I want to make the city proud, and I want to bring things to the city of Perrysburg that they haven't seen before.
Good to know. I like the mission. And if anybody has a suggestion, may they email you?
Yes, they can email me at director@visitperrysburg.com. If you have any ideas, if you've been to other places and you saw things that you're like, wow, that would be awesome to have in Perrysburg, shoot me an email. I love any idea. I will try to make anything work. A lot of people have traveled different locations and they've seen things. And for me, it's like, why can't we try it? We have the resources here. We have the capability of doing it. As long as it works, let's try it.
I appreciate your ambition.
Nice.
And I have to ask you a follow-up question about
Yeah.
the go-karts.
Yeah.
Were the go-karts driven by children or adults?
Adults. So it was a professional traveling circuit. So most go-kart races back in the day, asphalt racing was popular. But when I brought it back 3 years ago in Archbold, there's not a lot of people that do it anymore. So it's a specific thing. You have to have specific tires for it. So we went to these different races and we promoted it, and people couldn't believe, getting back on the asphalt downtown on State Route 66. We shut down the state route. We had it right on the main street. So it was a great thing. I think we had over like 2,500 fans. It was hot. It was like just like this week, and people came out. Again, it's something that, the problem with that is in Archbold on a Sunday, there's not really a lot of businesses open. Saturday, they already had a race, so we kind of had to do it Sunday, but that would have been a perfect event on a Saturday. Business stay open. You had that many people downtown, and you gave all the access to these businesses that you get people like we've had it, or our concerts, during our concerts, people come from all over. They come back because they saw something at that concert. It might not have been open at that time, but they're like, wow, we never knew this was here. Let's come back. And we've talked to business owners, and they say it's amazing that just the amount of people that come to your events downtown, they come back and they're like, yeah, we saw this at this event and we had to come check it out. So that's ultimately what we're working for. We're working for businesses, we're working for people in the community. And then obviously here with the hotels, we're working with them specifically also.
I know it's a challenge to get up and running, but I can tell you have this background as providing services. You've got the enthusiasm,
Yep.
which I can definitely tell. I can tell that you have some experience building relationships. And I think now that you're in Perrysburg, I know you know how to do your job. That's
Yep.
why they gave it to you. But I think it's going to be exciting for me to see the town embrace you
Yeah.
and agree with some of your exciting ideas that you're going to come up with and buy into them and participate and show up.
Yeah, and I think ultimately that's the thing, right? Like you have a community that you can go to Toledo and get anything you want. And it's not that far of a drive, but how awesome is that to have that ability outside your backyard or outside your front door to come downtown and you have these things that we might not have had in the past. So it's like you want to do it and you hope that the community embraces it because ultimately we're doing it for the community. So that's how I know I'll be successful. Is when I look at the end of the year and I look at our events and I look at what we've accomplished. If the community's embracing it, then we're doing a good job. And that's my job is just to come up with good ideas, come up with things that the community love, and And ultimately, like this year, everything's planned pre me. Obviously, I didn't come up with any of these ideas. So, it takes a little bit to get things off the ground. So hopefully in 2025, I'll start sprinkling in some of my new ideas, and then we can see how the community reacts on that.
And will you be keeping the farmers market going as well?
Absolutely. The farmers market, the first time I stepped foot here, I could not believe the amount of people that come to a farmers market. But that's just you look at Perrysburg and the support they have for that, and the community and the city of Perrysburg allowing us to take over the road and the sidewalks and that. It's applause to everybody that had their hand in it. And you see what it has become, and you can see obviously what it can be. I think there's still room for growth. I still think there's ways that we can grow this, and that's ultimately my goal is to sit down and talk with people and find out, hey, how can we make this bigger? It's already one of the best farmers market in Northwest Ohio. How do we make it the best in Ohio? And we got to just sit down with people that have been part of it, people that with new ideas, and find out what's the best route and what's the best way to, when people think of farmers markets or markets in general, they think of this one.
Joshua, what do you like so far about working in Perrysburg?
Well, one of the things I joked with my wife was I was going to have to start packing my lunch because all of the food choices that we always choose as a family ends up being in Perrysburg. And I'm like, if I eat out every single time for lunch, I am going to gain more weight than I have already. If people see me from back in the day, from when I was a college athlete to now, it's already a difference. But I told her, I said, they won't even recognize me here in the next year if I eat out every single day. So one of the great things is the food choices that Perrysburg has to offer. Again, the resemblance of Archbold downtown, and then you go to Levis. The one thing that I was so shocked about was when I first started here, coffee shops in Archbold are non-existent. You just go and get coffee and then you go to work. The first thing I had to get used to was getting meetings. Hey, do you have time for a meeting? Absolutely. You want to meet in my office? Oh, no, let's go to a coffee shop. Okay, never been to one. Sure. So now, I'm used to just drinking black coffee and, going to McDonald's through our little drive-through McDonald's, getting the coffee and going to work. Well, now it's like fancy. I went to Flying Joe's and they had a peanut butter and jelly cold brew. And it was amazing. It was like I now have gone 3 days in a row to get it. So it's just little things like that are coming from a small town, not having that things and having the ability to get whatever you want. And Perrysburg has so much to offer. I mean, you're talking about, again, small town. You can go out to Levis. You can go out to Fremont Pike. They have everything that you need. If I need to go to a Walmart, I don't have to drive 30 minutes away to go to a Walmart and get something. I can just drive down the road. If I want to still feel small and go to a mom and pop restaurant, I can walk downtown and go to that. And then obviously the people. You see the enjoyment of what they love about Perrysburg and their passion for Perrysburg. I mean, you got a flying banner across that says jacket. It says like
Jacket Pride.
Yeah,
I think.
Jacket Pride. I mean, that's one thing that absolutely I love about coming from a small town. I love that feeling of like hometown pride, and they obviously have it here. And so my 2 weeks have been nothing but amazing, and I'm looking forward to obviously spending a lot of time in Perrysburg. And as the years go on and just continuing to grow, obviously I'm new. I don't know a lot of people in Perrysburg. So that's one of my goals here. A short-term goal is to get out, meet people, get some new connections, and just continue to grow individually and professionally.
Those are good goals.
Thank you.
Joshua, what is the next event that Visit Perrysburg is working on?
So one of the big events that we have coming up is Hearts the Art, which is an event that was at Levis Commons for the past 15 years. It's an art show. And that has now been taken over by Visit Perrysburg. That will be a 3-day art show downtown Perrysburg on Louisiana Avenue. That will be August 16th, 17th, and 18th. We will have a kids zone, food trucks, and then I think as of right now, we're up to 85 to 90 art vendors. So it's a 3-day event. We'll have live music. It's going to be a great time. When my wife and I lived in Levis, we looked forward to it every single time in Levis. So I'm hoping that same crowd and the same enthusiasm for that shows out here in downtown. It gives it a little bit of bigger area. And there's obviously going to be more things here than there was at Levis. We're looking forward to it. We're excited. We've been working on that. It's kind of one of the first things I jumped into, just because it is coming up in August and it's a big event. So that's what we're working on right here. We also have the July 3rd fireworks. We partner with the city of Perrysburg and the city of Maumee. That event will be on July 3rd, fireworks. So we all come together and we all support the fireworks as one thing, even though obviously our counterpart from across the bridge, we work with them. And it's a great event for the community. It's a great event for the two communities. But I also joke, and I've heard this joke, that obviously the fireworks on Perrysburg are way better than on the Maumee side. So that's one thing that I've heard. So I will wait and see for myself if that's actually a true thing. Obviously, I'm on closer on the side of Maumee from where I live, but I better bring my family and come across the bridge if that's true. I got to see the better fireworks. So that's another event we're working on. And then we partner coming up here. This is in a little bit, but we partnered with Fox 36, and we're going to do the big game showdown with Ohio State, Michigan. It's going to be downtown Perrysburg. Fox is going to be broadcasting it. They're going to be giving away free tickets to the Ohio State Michigan game. They're going to be giving away jerseys of Ohio State Michigan. There's going to be other prizes. We're going to have inflatables, sports related. And then it's not official. There is a 99% chance a Hall of Fame football player from Ohio State will be in attendance to take pictures, talk, and sign autographs. So that hasn't been official, so I don't want to say the name yet. It's going to be an awesome event. When I took this job, that was one of the things I saw. I'm a diehard Ohio State fan. I named my first son Hayes from Woody Hayes. Mind you, took me forever to beg my wife for that. I was coming up with every single Ohio State name I could, and she finally allowed me to do Hayes. So, yeah, I'm a diehard Ohio State fan, so I'm looking forward to that event itself. That will be broadcasted on Fox. So yeah, we got a couple good things, and then we obviously have the holiday parade coming up, and that's one of the events. That holiday parade is one of the events that I'm looking forward to next year, and the reason is I kind of want to make a change to it. One of the things that I would love to see is we would actually make that parade on a Saturday night, so that people can dress their floats up in Christmas lights, and it's bright and it's Christmas themed like you should be, not during the day where you can't see anything like that. And then I would love to make it a whole day event where throughout the day there's things to do. At night, then we finish with the parade. That's my goal for 2025. But for this year, since it already is in place, we're going to stick with it. And I believe that one is on the December 8th, which is a Sunday. So that will be in the afternoon. But yeah, it's just, we got a lot of things going on coming up, and I'm excited about it. And hopefully the people of Perrysburg are excited, and, we hopefully get a good turnout on all those events.
Yeah. And hey, if you're listening, tell your friends.
Yes, absolutely. Again, fireworks sell themselves. People love fireworks, so I'm not worried about that. But again, the art show, you come out, you're going to be impressed with all the artwork. You can buy it. All of that stuff's for sale. So if you're into art, or if you just want to come eat some good food with the food trucks, or if you want to come and have your kids play in the kids zone, make sure that you mark down that calendar on the 16th, 17th, and 18th. On the 16th, I think it starts at 5 p.m. It's 5 to 8 is the art show. And then I think live music goes till 10. And then on Saturday, it starts at 10, and I think it finishes at 10 p.m. And then Sunday is 10 to 4. So if you're in the area, if you hear this, make sure you spread the word to your friends and family. Again, it's worth the drive. If you're 45 minutes, hour away, come out. There's a lot to do here. And then when you're done with that, you can go around to the local businesses in Perrysburg. And trust me, if you don't find anything you like food-wise for the food trucks, there are plenty of great restaurants in Perrysburg that you can go eat at. Trust me.
Yes. Well, I'm glad to hear that you have a strategy for, not getting as big as a house, and we'll have to roll you down the street because,
Yes.
you said you're packing your lunch.
Yes.
There you go. But I agree, there are so many great restaurants downtown, and an increasing number all the time.
Yeah, you look at it, it's like you could go a whole week and you would not hit the same restaurant every time. And you could probably go close to 2 weeks and you will find an amazing restaurant throughout that whole time. And then the best part is you just circle back, right? So there's so many good options in it. And that's one thing I love about it. It's not only downtown, we have so many restaurants. You can go, one of the restaurants I love out at Levis is Blue Pacific. It's one of those where you fill up the bowls as much as you can, you pack them in, and then they cook them right in front of you. Those are different things. And that's one thing that I want people to realize is, Visit Perrysburg does a lot of things downtown, but we're not only for downtown. We're for everybody in Perrysburg. We're for Levis. We're for downtown. We're for Fremont Pike or
I call it Route 20,
okay,
but yeah, whatever you want
Route
to call
20.
it.
So yeah, we're for all that. We want to support all the local businesses. And again, if you're a business and you hear this, reach out to me. Any way that I can help you in your business, I would be glad to in a heartbeat. We're always looking for different ideas, and we're looking to partner with people. So if it's something that you are passionate about, or there's something that you want to see in Perrysburg, please reach out to me. I would be happy to try to figure out a way to make it work.
Excellent call to action. And I think that's a great place to leave this interview. So thank you very much, Joshua Johnson, for being here on the Perrysburg Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. Thanks again to Joshua Johnson for being my guest today on the Perrysburg Podcast, episode 49. What a great opportunity to introduce the new executive director of Perrysburg's Convention and Visitors Bureau to prospective new and current Perrysburg, Ohio residents, and maybe some visitors too. This was a great opportunity. As I start to wrap up this episode, I want to say that often people see you before they hear you, and they don't know what you're all about at first. I love that this podcast episode gave my audience an opportunity to hear Joshua Johnson before they see him out in the community and meet him personally. He is a friendly and approachable guy. So if you spot him around town, don't be a stranger. His picture, I know it's small, but it is in the artwork for this episode. If you see him around town, introduce yourself. After all, one of his short-term goals is to meet people and form new connections so he can continue to grow personally and professionally. I like those goals. Perrysburg residents, you can make that possible for him. I look forward to all the upcoming events that Joshua mentioned too. We talked about the fireworks. Those are coming up July 3rd. I live on the west side, so I just walk over to the historic Fort Meigs battlefield from my house and I just watch at the fort. Bring a camp chair, sit and watch. Some people also like to go to Riverside Park. No matter where you go, the view really is better here in Perrysburg. Lots of great places to watch. Joshua also mentioned the art show in August, the Ohio State-Michigan game event in November, and the Christmas parade. If you live here in Perrysburg, please come to these events and tell your friends. Tell them to come out as well. There's room for everybody. Now, if you'd like to learn more about Perrysburg's Convention and Visitors Bureau, go to visitperrysburg.com. And if you or someone you know would like to partner with Visit Perrysburg, contact Joshua Johnson at director@visitperrysburg.com. That's director@visitperrysburg.com. And if you have ideas for events for Visit Perrysburg, use that same email address to get in touch, director@visitperrysburg.com. Joshua said he's looking forward to partnering with businesses and people. This is your chance. That's all I have for you today on this last Friday here in June of 2024. Thank you for listening to the Perrysburg Podcast, episode 49. To find the show notes for this episode, go to perrysburgpodcast.com and click on episode 49. In the show notes, I'll have a link to the website for Visit Perrysburg. I will have Joshua Johnson's email address. I will have a link to sign up for the newsletter for this podcast and more. If you want to be notified each time a new episode of this podcast comes out, sign up for the newsletter today. If you know someone who might be interested in learning more about Visit Perrysburg or Joshua Johnson, please share this episode with them. And if you like this podcast, hit the subscribe or follow button on your favorite podcast player and YouTube to get each new episode delivered right when it comes out. Thanks for listening today. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the fireworks on Wednesday and have a safe and fun 4th. I'll talk to you next week.